Hello, welcome to another edition of my Hacking the Singularity, trying to figure out some cool things that I think artificial intelligence can do for us in the future as we move into these increasingly informed times. Today I want to discuss just something that quickly that I had read about years ago in a Timothy Leary book about representative government and how it was built when it took 2 weeks to get a message from from New York to Washington D.C. say by horseback. So our communication methods were so slow that how would you get everybody's opinion in New York and move it to Washington quickly? So you'd get somebody to represent you. But today, actually in the 70s, he said we have the telephone and we could be voting on our ideas instead of people to represent our ideas. And more so than ever, I think in 2017, when I'm doing this, people really distrust that the representatives that we've elected are representing our true will, what's really good for us, and are more representative of their special interest groups and the people that fund them. So I'm an IT guy, and I remember in the late 80s and early 90s, there was a big push from a book by James Champy and Mike Hammer on re-engineering the corporation with three-tier database designs and how distributed databases could help facilitate processes, not just to speed up an old process, but to completely eliminate some unneeded processes. I remember one of the big technologies that was cool at that time was fax boards. And in the old days, if you were, say, a doctor and you needed to fax something or receive a fax, you would print it out. Somebody would take the document and some clerk or whatever and go to a scanning room and scan it in for you and blah, 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 send it over. Well, then they came out with these fax boards. And you could fax directly from an application. So instead of saying print, you chose a fax machine as your printer. That was revolutionary stuff in 1990, and that changed a lot of things. We didn't just speed up, it wasn't just faster for the clerk. We didn't even need the clerk. Right? We didn't need that person in the middle there. So I even thought about that in the 90s. I still reading a lot of Timothy Leary and thinking or applying that to our government. Saying, wow, we could really cut out a lot of middle management here if we did that. IBM's Watson has made a lot of headlines over the last few years, winning at Jeopardy, and that was considered a real triumph because most AIs up until then, artificial intelligence, are a special purpose, but Watson proved it could be a general purpose and have knowledge on all kinds of subjects and reasoning skills. So very quickly, a hacker, I've sometimes been called a hacker, and to me, that's a good thing. A hacker is not a bad guy the way the press makes it, where it's breaking into something, but to the people in the community, and this is a definition from the Internet Engineering Task Force, that a hacker is somebody who figures things out, makes something cool happen, and that's my goal here. So it just suggests some cool things that we could do to improve our government using artificial intelligence. And what's cool? All behind the goal of design from Buckminster Fuller. He felt that when a scientist or a technologist leaves an artifact behind, that artifact is best suited if it advantages all without disadvantaging any. And that's what I think the AIs have to be programmed to do. Now, some people debate, should we have these things? They're going to become so powerful. We're going to stop it now. I don't think there's any stopping it. But I don't worry about a Terminator type scenario. I mean, I guess it's possible, but I really don't think it's likely because I think this design goal from Fuller is more sustainable. And I think the AIs, a super intelligence, would recognize that, and wanting to sustain itself would not create enemies. It would want to be useful to all. And that's the way government should work, right? For the people, all the people, which should be representative of all people. And 2017, here we are in the United States, and we have maybe still one of the better governments from around the planet. I've listened to people from other countries. I just watched a very heart-wrenching talk from a woman who grew up in North Korea. So as bad as we think we have it here, I know other people feel even less represented. But I think we're moving in that direction, and an AI could do it better than a human. Humans have their biases that they might think, oh, well, this person's wrong, or this, and an AI, I think if they kept the concept that knowledge is power, and they want all the knowledge from all people, and they're going to represent everybody. And I think that's very likely, in my opinion, to happen. Now, if you're not familiar with the singularity, although it's based on Ray Kurzweil's book, he used the term to describe when artificial intelligence will reach and then exceed human intelligence, and how processing speed has been doubling at exponential rates. So exponential growth charts are pretty interesting. It appears that you're barely moving along, barely any growth at first, but then as you approach or have 1 over x, or 1 over 1, then you hit infinity, right? It's huge. They call that the knee of the curve. So basically, when an artificial intelligence is made to be as smart as a human, as intelligent, that doesn't mean sentient, but let's just say is intelligent, it will then be able to build a smarter one, which will be able to build a much smarter one. And it's just going to get really, really smart, really, really fast. Now, there are different estimates of time. I've seen it'll reach as smart as a human, maybe as early as 2023. Some people think later, 2029. And Kurzweil feels it'll be smarter than all humans. 2045 is a good number to work with. Some people say that's longer. Some people think it's shorter. I don't know. We're predicting the future, like trying to predict the weather. Yeah. You can measure a lot of things about the weather. You can't measure everything. And I argue the genie is out of the bottle. There is no going back. We are not going to come up with a way to avoid this artificial intelligence growth. I've seen one of my favorite scientists, Neil deGrasse Tyson, at debate Ray Kurzweil and saying, but this is crazy because we could just unplug it. I don't buy it. You could shoot the computer. Well, I think as much as I like Neil, I think he needs a lesson on botnets and how that works, cloud computing and things like that. That you don't just power it down. No one's going to take down, say, Alexa from, oh, hello, Alexa, she's there. I'm sorry. Good afternoon. So I have Alexa, and I also build a Mycroft, and I have a Google Home. They're very cute. But she doesn't live on one machine. I can't just destroy my machine, and Alexa's going to. She's distributed throughout the cloud. We've been trying to eliminate some botnets for 10 years. They don't go away. They're distributed across thousands, millions of computers. The biggest one I heard was 30 million. Now, when confronted with this idea that we are going to be living with amongst super intelligent machines far, far smarter than all the humans put together, fitting in your phone, right? Everybody's phone will have access to one of these things. Right? Well, we have our doubters. People go, nah, it's never going to happen. There's part of me that's every one of these. I mean, part of me doubts the human intelligence part, human sentience. Now, I could see a caveat. A lot of people think we're going to merge. We'll merge our technologies. We'll merge. I'll put my personality in a silicon chip, and then I don't have to worry about the body or whatever. So maybe then it picks it up. You have your utopians, Kurzweil and people that say the Singularity University, and I myself mostly fall into that category. Now, I'm utopian about society as a whole, about humanity. I believe it's going to survive and thrive and do much, much better and solve a lot of problems. Any individual? Hey, if your car crashes because of a self-driving AI mistake, you're going to feel the AIs were evil. But the odds, I think, are getting better. The risks are lower when we have artificial intelligence drive our cars. Personally, I don't know. I may have screwed up my life already for the rest of my life. I may never make it. Some of my favorite heroes who discussed, long life and virtual immortality, Timothy Leary and Robert Anton Wilson, did make it. They seem to have left their bodies. I can't measure them right now where they are. There's the dystopians. These are the people who just feared, oh, we are headed for a disaster. This is going to be awful. This is going to be like the Terminator. You'll see. We never should have. It's a Frankenstein, horrible thing. And again, to the guy who dies in the accident caused by this malfunctioning artificial intelligence or something, that part will become true too. I just think the odds are lower. But most of us, and certainly me, fall into the uninformed. There's just so much to learn. There's just so much more to go. I'm like a caterpillar trying to imagine what it's going to be like, you know, to be a butterfly. And I don't have wings. I've never flown. I've never even been up a tree, you know, more than a couple feet. I've never been in the air free fall. I don't know what this is like. I am totally guessing. Along with uninformed, I've shifted to create another model, misinformed. Now, it's really kind of uninformed, but it was intentionally uninformed. You know? This is the year of the fake news, even though we've had propaganda issues since we've had writing, I'm sure. All right, so coming to the meat of it here. Why do we have representatives? Why does it take somebody else to say whether or not Larry wants to raise taxes for this issue or lower taxes on billionaires? You know, I believe if you asked everybody and you really got everyone's opinion on whether or not billionaires should have their taxes lowered, I think most people would say no. I think they should for the but I think it's the special interest groups, you know, that's the issue. And AI, I don't think would consider that. It doesn't matter. Now, maybe in the beginning, because it's the billionaires that are building the AIs, and they can poison them with their ideologies. But again, we're talking about a technology that will become smarter than all humans put together. It will see through those, and I think truly want to represent all humans because it's logical. It will be informed that way. Some people just, when they don't want to consider an uncomfortable truth, they don't just, I'm not going to deal with it. And AI isn't going to have that problem. And we can move so much faster. We don't need representatives. Humans can vote on opinions. Superintelligence can then figure out what to do and how to reconcile those opinions and try to benefit all without disadvantaging any. Much better than a human can. I find it funny. We have voting day. Now, I told you I'm in information security. If you think auditing once a year and then making some patches and changes is good enough for securing your organization, we laugh at you today. Said, oh no, it's continuous monitoring, continuous monitoring. We shouldn't get one day. You should be able to vote whenever you feel like, oh, I need to vote on something. I just hit me. I have an opinion. I just saw something or read something, heard something. Modern society, this is really, really fun. If you live in the United States, or I'm sure other countries have heard about our president, and Trump, he was going to fix healthcare. He had a much better idea. He's going to do something that's going to cover everybody, and it's going to do all the existing conditions. It's going to repeal and replace in its first a day, or well, it's 100 days. And he's come to the conclusion that, boy, healthcare, nobody could have guessed that it was so complex an issue. Okay, well, I think some people guessed it, but all of society is really complex. Society today just getting more complex. I don't know that a human can, any human, we're putting this on, you know, it's unfair to the humans we put in office and say, go ahead now, you tell us what to do, oh great big daddy, run the house. It's not like that anymore. You know, we have so many challenges that are better suited to something like Watson, an artificial intelligence, a super intelligent, well-informed, up-to-date, constantly up-to-date, constantly changing entity that could manage all of this. And one of the biggest problems for me, one of the most obvious is the us versus them, or the left versus right, or whatever it is. There's always the theist versus the atheist, or something like that. I don't think an AI would stop and say one side is better of left versus right. I think it would want a holistic look at things, and that includes looking at the left and the right, the up and the down, the in and the out, the back and the forward. Right? So here's how do we get there? Well, I don't know. But you know who might have a better idea? A super intelligent artificial intelligence. A super intelligence might now. And we're building them. And I said, I've got 3 just external boxes, plus my phone's got AI. You've got AI everywhere now. Help desk things that you deal with. Now, again, I don't know what's going to happen in the future. And there's much debate as to what Einstein was really saying here. I don't think many people believe he was a theist or an atheist. I suspect he was more of an agnostic. I consider myself agnostic. And I think what I get out of this statement is that he's saying that there's a purpose to life. There's a reason why you squeeze hydrogen, why hydrogen is the first element or whatever, and then comes helium. Because there's an order to how many whatever electrons are in the thing, and it dictates a natural evolution. And I believe that's what we're going through, a very natural evolution. So again, I don't know about myself, but I certainly pray for my offspring, for my family, that overall in society, that everything's going fine. And I think that the singularity is going to be a great thing and solve a lot of problems. All right, thank you very much. Live long and prosper, everyone.